Yeah, good morning to you. Where else? I've spent a year and a half in bars and restaurants at this time of day, but good morning. We're right by the river here. A glorious start. You might be able to make out the sunrise just behind us here on the River Thames in Battersea. And it's an important day for all sorts of businesses, but particularly hospitality firms that have struggled over this past few months with this so-called Pingdemic, the number of people being told to self-isolate through the NHS app because they've come into contact with someone who has COVID. And for firms that have been trying to get staff to work in places like this, it has meant that they've really struggled. They've had to cope with fewer staff, and therefore service in some cases has also been affected. But from today, changes are coming into force. So let me run you through what those changes are. Because from today, if you've been double jabbed and you do come into contact with someone who has COVID, you will not be asked to self-isolate. But that's on a proviso that you've had both vaccinations. Instead, what you'll be asked to do is take a PCR test. You'll get a free PCR test from the NHS. But crucially here, you won't have to self-isolate until you get the results of that test, unless perhaps you've got symptoms or that is a positive test. And what they're advising is that then maybe you just should wear a mask and limit the amount of contact that you have with other people rather than being forced to isolate for 10 days. So for firms like this, it marks an important change. Let me introduce you to Neema, who's with us this morning. She's the co-founder of this place. Neema, good morning.
Good morning.
Talk to me about the Pingdemic, because we've heard from all sorts of businesses, but particularly hospitality ones like yours, about just how difficult it's been to get staff when they're all being pinged by the app.
No, absolutely. It's been really hard for us. I think it's harder because we have no notice, so they get pinged, they inform us, and we have to take them off shift straight away. So we're quite lucky in that we've got quite a large bank of staff, and so we've been able to absorb it a little bit, but for smaller businesses with just a few staff, I think it's devastating.
And as you said, it's that idea that there's very little notice. Someone could ring you, 10 minutes before their shift is due to start. How would you plan for something like that?
I mean, I think the staff, the team understand, and we all just have to pull together. So sometimes it just means stepping up if we're not able to bring in reinforcement, but other times it means that we can call on people and they're willing to come in on short notice.
And have customers been particularly sort of understanding? Because as I said, it's service that often suffers, isn't it? If you just don't have the people, and people desperate to get back out into bars and restaurants after so long. Have your customers been understanding?
I mean, I think we're quite fortunate in the customers we receive. So I think they have been great, and they have been very patient with us because, I mean, the whole process has been a wave, and so we've just been kind of rolling with it and adjusting and adapting, and I think customers do understand, so we've been very lucky.
And as I said, these changes only affect people if you've had both vaccinations, that you won't need to isolate for these 10 days. I wonder though, with a lot of your staff being very young, we know younger people may be less likely to have had the vaccine. Does that concern you, that even though the rules change, it might not apply to all of your staff?
I mean, I think with the new rule changes, it's great to get clarity, and I think that's amazing, but I think we're always going to take on a case-by-case basis in any case. So I think, again, because we can ask staff to stay at home, and we have been doing so, we might continue to do so if we feel it's the right thing to do. So I think it's it does seem if somebody's not double vaccinated, it's probably the safest thing to do, and it's what we'll continue doing.
And as we sort of approach the end, what we hope is the end of this pandemic, how would you look back at this last 18 months in terms of how you've coped?
The hardest. I mean, it has been the most challenging time. When you start a business, you think that's going to be the most challenging time, but nothing compares. It has. But I think we're just fortunate and grateful to still be here. So I think that's what we focus on, and the future.
And you're still smiling, which is the most important thing. Neema, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us this morning. We'll talk more a little later. So there you have it from a business point of view. So important that these rules are clarified today. It should give people a bit more information about what they need to do. And for businesses that are trying to make sure they've got the staff that they need to fill the shifts, to serve the customers who are coming back to bars and restaurants, today marks a very important day as the sun comes up here over Battersea in London.
Yeah, step out of the shot for a moment, Ben, just so we can enjoy that. Look at that. Look lovely. There we go. Much better. Beautiful morning in London.
Thank you.
That's lovely. 18 minutes past 6. Let's have a look at